Good evening. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla says former Philippine National Police Chief General Nicolas Torre III was relieved of his post partly due to his reassignment of 13 senior officers. Among the officers Torre transferred on August 6 was then Deputy Chief for Administration Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. Torre reassigned Nartates as commander of the Area Police Command Western Mindanao. In an August 14 resolution, the National Police Commission ordered Torre to reinstate Nartates as Deputy Chief. The Commission also asked Torre to modify the reassignment of the 12 other officers or face administrative sanctions. In a press briefing on Tuesday, August 26, Remulla says the Napolcom order was a consideration for Torre's relief. However, he clarifies that Torre did not violate any laws.
He did not violate any laws. He is not being charged with any violations. He is not being charged criminally nor abusively. It is simply a choice of the President to take the new direction for the PNP.
In a memorandum dated August 25, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin said Torre was being relieved as PNP chief effective immediately. In Tuesday's press briefing, Remulla announced that Nartates is taking over as officer in charge of the PNP. Nartates immediately assumed office on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Remulla says Torre is being considered for another position, citing President Bongbong Marcos's continued trust in the COP's capacity. In relieving Torre, Remulla emphasizes that institutions must be larger than the people who run them.
Precisely because we are a country of laws and not of men, that the institutions must be larger than the people who run them. And in this case, the President saw it necessary that the institution of the PNP and the Napolcom be now supported with the spirit of honor as of this moment.
A Philippine Navy official says a People's Liberation Army Navy tugboat was spotted near the BRP Sierra Madre in a Ayungin shoal in the West Philippine Sea. In a press briefing on Tuesday, August 26, Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, says the Chinese tugboat was sighted on Monday, August 25, 5 nautical miles south of BRP Sierra Madre. However, Trinidad dismisses fears that the grounded naval outpost might be towed away. According to Trinidad, it will take more than a tugboat to tow BRP Sierra Madre. He also says the BRP Sierra Madre is strongly anchored to the corals of the shoal. In 1999, the BRP Sierra Madre was deliberately grounded to help secure the Philippines' assertion of sovereignty over Ayungin Shoal. Aside from the tugboat, Trinidad says there were 13 maritime militia and 2 China Coast Guard vessels spotted off the shoal's vicinity on Monday. Trinidad considers this number of Chinese vessels quite high from the average. The Armed Forces of the Philippines reported an unusual spike in Chinese presence in the shoal on August 20 when 25 Chinese assets were monitored there. There were 5 China Coast Guard vessels in Ayungin, supported by 11 rigid-hull inflatable boats and fast boats, as well as 9 militia vessels and a rotary helicopter. Despite any threat, Trinidad assures that the rotation and provisioning of Philippine forces in Ayungin Shoal will continue. Batangas Representative Leandro Leviste says the Department of Public Works and Highways District Engineer who allegedly bribed him may turn state witness and name contractors who offered kickbacks. Leviste filed a complaint with the Batangas Provincial Prosecutor's Office against Batangas 1st District Engineer Officer in Charge Abelardo Calalo on Tuesday, August 26. He is accusing Calalo of direct bribery, violating Article 212 of the Revised Penal Code, and violating the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials. The case stemmed from an incident on Friday, August 22, when Calalo allegedly tried to hand Leviste 3.1 million pesos in cash. The bribe was allegedly given to dissuade Leviste from pursuing his probe into flood control projects. Leviste alerted the police during the meeting, leading to Calalo's arrest. In an interview on Tuesday, Leviste says Calalo told him that some congressmen often receive kickbacks from contractors who secure projects.
Ipinaliwanag sa akin ni DE ang sistema sa pa-award ng mga proyekto sa unang distrito ng Batangas. Ayon sa aking sworn statement, hindi nagkakaroon ng tunay na mga bidding sa DPWH projects sa unang distrito ng Batangas. pinipili lang daw ng congressman ang contractor na nagbibigay ng SOP.
He calls on former and current DPWH employees to come forward and expose the alleged corruption in flood control projects. Leviste says he offered Calalo the option of turning to whistleblower, but notes that the engineer seemed overwhelmed at present. Calalo was ordered suspended and is currently detained at the Taal Municipal Police Station. The Bureau of Internal Revenue says it will launch a tax fraud investigation into contractors linked to questionable flood control projects. In a statement on Tuesday, August 26, Commissioner Romeo Lumagi Jr. says the agency will conduct a parallel probe by auditing tax returns and payments of contractors. Should any contractor be found to have underpaid or evaded taxes, Lumagi says the BIR will not issue an updated tax clearance. He adds that violators will be barred from future government bids and face suspended settlement of existing contracts. For ghost projects, Lumagi says the agency will disallow all reported costs and expenses once they confirm the project was never implemented. Without a project, he says there won't be a deductible expense and a tax deficiency assessment will follow. Infrastructure from ghost projects was either never built or was left unfinished but was reported as completed and paid for. The investigation into anomalous flood control projects intensified following President Bongbong Marcos' State of the Nation address in July. Marcos ordered a crackdown on contractors and officials involved in alleged corruption in flood control projects. The House of Representatives Committee on Justice will conduct a motu proprio inquiry into the bid of the U.S. to extradite Apollo Quiboloy. During the panel hearing on Tuesday, August 26, Committee Vice Chairman Jonathan Keith Flores moved to launch the investigation in response to a request from Akbayan Party List Representative Percival Sendanya. Committee Chairperson Jervil Luistro approved Flores' motion after no members objected. The committee shared a letter from Sendanya's office where he asked the panel to review and seek an explanation on the processes related to extradition. He also urged the panel to help identify possible gaps or ambiguities in existing regulations. Sendanya says the investigation will be key to ensuring fairness while also allowing Congress to determine whether new laws or amendments are necessary. During the hearing, Luistro says the panel may review the 1994 extradition treaty between the U.S. and the Philippines. She also cites Presidential Decree No. 1069 or the Philippine Extradition Law of 1977. Luistro says the two laws are supposedly silent on some pertinent details. Philippine Ambassador to the U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez earlier said that the U.S. is seeking Quiboloy's extradition. Quiboloy is wanted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation for sex trafficking and bulk cash smuggling. He is also facing separate criminal charges of human trafficking and sexual abuse before Philippine courts. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.